Good morning, students. Last class, we discussed about the parts of the male and female reproductive system. Today, we will study about the structure of sperm, the structure of ovum. We will also study about implantation, gestation, and parturition, that means birth. First, we will study about the structure of sperm. When you look at the diagram of sperm, you can see the sperm consists of three main parts. This is the head containing the nucleus and the acrosome. This is the neck. This is the middle piece having mitochondria and the tail. The head has nucleus containing the genetic material 22 plus X or 22 plus Y chromosomes. The acrosome, which is present at the top of the head of the sperm, it secretes an enzyme, hyaluronidase, which facilitates entry of the sperm into the egg by dissolving the wall of the ovum. The mitochondria contained in the middle piece, it provides energy ATP for the activity of the sperm so that it can swim. The tail makes lashing movements for propulsion. Now we will study the structure of the ovum. When you look at the ovum, children, you'll find it contains a nucleus. It has cytoplasm. It has an outer plasma membrane, which is called the vitelline membrane. Then it has a layer which is called zona pellucida, and it has several layers of cells which collectively are called corona radiata. The ovum has a central nucleus that contains the female's genetic material, that is 22 plus X chromosomes. Surrounding the nucleus is a cytoplasm, and the ovum is enclosed by a vitelline membrane, as I told you. Zona striata or zona pellucida is a thick transparent envelope that encloses the ovum. Adhering to the outer surface of the zona pellucida are several layers of cells which are derived from those of the follicle, and they are collectively called corona radiata. Now, during copulation, the sperms are released into the female genitalia. Sperms may remain alive in the female genital passage for a few days, but their fertilizing power is limited to 1 or 2 days only. During fertilization, several sperms may surround an egg, but only one sperm enters it. In doing so, the tail is left behind and only the head part that contains the nucleus penetrates the egg. This sperm nucleus fuses with the nucleus of the egg, and that is called fertilization. As soon as one sperm enters the egg, the entry of other sperms is prevented by a chemical barrier. Now, this is the zygote formed by the fusion of the male and the female nuclei, and here only the head enters and the tail is left behind. The fertilized egg, that is the zygote, soon starts dividing into 2, 4, 8, 16 cells and so on. By the time it reaches the uterus, it has already formed a small hollow ball of numerous cells which are called blastocyst. This is a kind of embryo which forms a pit in the wall of the uterus, and it gets fixed in it in about a week's time after ovulation. This process is called implantation, and it produces the state of pregnancy. So what is implantation? Implantation is the fixing of the blastocyst to the wall of the uterus. Now, after implantation, the uterus continues to develop to take care of the developing embryo. By the end of 5 weeks of pregnancy, the embryo is quite advanced. The heart and circulatory system have been formed. After 2 months, limbs have also been formed. Now, in the early stages of gestation, now what is gestation? The full term of development of embryo in the uterus. Now, in the early stages of gestation, what happens? The blastocyst, what is blastocyst? The mass of cells. They develop a number of extra embryonic membranes to protect the developing embryo. And these membranes are amnion, chorion, allantois, and placenta. Now, what is amnion? Amnion is a sac. This is a sac. Amnion is a sac which develops around the embryo. This is the embryo. Amnion is a sac which develops around the embryo even before the formation of allantois. A fluid, that is amniotic fluid, it fills the space between the amnion and the embryo for its protection. Now, this is the placenta. The growing embryo or the fetus is a living organism. Now, it needs food and oxygen. It excretes nitrogenous waste and carbon dioxide, which needs to be continuously removed. So, these special functions are performed by a structure which is called the placenta. And this placenta is a disc-like structure which is attached to the uterine wall. And a cord containing blood vessels, this is a cord containing blood vessels, connects the placenta and the fetus, and this is called the umbilical cord. How is this placenta formed? The placenta is formed of 2 sets of minute finger-like projections, the villi. One set of villi are given out by the uterine wall and the other set by the extension from the embryo. The 2 sets of villi get interlocked, but they never open into each other. Here, the blood of the embryo comes in close contact but never mingles with the blood of the mother. Why? Because if there was a direct continuity of blood between the mother and the fetus without a placenta, the relatively high pressure of the mother's blood would seriously damage the soft and delicate tissues of the fetus. Now, this fetus stays in the mother's womb or in the uterus for about 280 days. This is called the gestation period. The full term of the development of the embryo in the uterus is called gestation, which is 280 days or 9 months, 10 days. At the time of birth, the baby is pushed out by the powerful contractions of the muscles of the uterus, head first. In a few minutes, the blood vessels in the umbilical cord shrink and they can be tied and cut. After about 15 minutes, the placenta breaks from the uterus and is expelled out as after birth. The uterus contracts and gradually comes back to normal in a few days. Now, the expelling of the full-term fetus from the mother's uterus at the end of the gestation period is called parturition. Now, children, when you know, all of you know that when a child is born, it gives a cry. It announces its arrival by letting out a sharp cry. This cry is nature's clearing process of the baby's respiratory passage. Now we'll discuss about the functions of the amniotic fluid. The amniotic fluid protects the embryo from physical damage by jerks or mechanical shocks, keeps an even pressure all around the embryo, allows the fetus some restricted movements, prevents sticking of the uterus to the amnion. Next, we'll discuss the functions of placenta. Placenta permits diffusion of nutrients like glucose, amino acids, lipids, vitamins, minerals from the mother's blood to the fetus. It permits diffusion of oxygen from mother's blood to the fetus, allows antibodies to pass from mother's blood to fetus, disposes wastes, that is urea, from the blood of fetus to that of the mother, permits diffusion of carbon dioxide from the blood of fetus to that of the mother. The placenta acts as an endocrine gland. It produces hormones like estrogen, progesterone, and relaxin. Now children, let us discuss certain important terms in this chapter. First, fertilization. What is fertilization? Fertilization is the fusion of the male gamete and female gamete, that is sperm and ovum, to form the zygote. Implantation is the fixing of the blastocyst to the wall of the uterus or the endometrium. Embryo is a growing egg after fertilization until the main parts of the body and the internal organs have taken shape. Fetus. When the embryo starts having the look of a baby, that is from 7 weeks of gestation and onwards, it is called a fetus. Pregnancy. The state of carrying the unborn young one inside the body is called pregnancy. Now, what is placenta? It is the intimate connection established between the fetal membranes and uterine wall, permitting diffusion of nourishment from the mother's blood to that of the growing fetus and disposal of wastes from the blood of the fetus to that of the mother. Now, gestation. Gestation is the full term of development of the embryo in the uterus, which lasts for about 280 days. Parturition. It is the act of expelling the full-term fetus from the mother's uterus at the end of gestation. Children, hope you have understood whatever has been taught. Have a nice day and thank you.